DC is turning the Darkseid War up to 11 as the story bursts out of the pages of the Justice League into a series of one-shots. We've got writer and artistic mastermind Francis Manapul here to crack into his Superman one-shot and show off his cover artwork for the series.
Well, what you need to know is Superman's usually a good guy. He'll usually do what's right, and in this case, he's not doing anything. I wanted to make the story more personal and give it that earthly feel, even though he had just come back from Apocalypse. So the main protagonist in the story is actually Jimmy Olsen, who's trying to convince Superman to lift a finger to help the city.
You wrote the Darkseid War one-shot for Superman and Lex Luthor. What made you pick these two characters?
I think the obvious one would have been the Flash, but I wanted to write characters that I haven't had the opportunity to write before. And I've been a long-time fan of Superman, and getting to write it from the point of view of Lex Luthor and Superman, that's a pretty interesting thing to be able to do, especially since normally you would only get it from Superman's perspective, right? So in this case, we get a bit of both.
How much did you collaborate with Jeff Johns and the other writers while writing these one-shots?
I spoke with Jeff a lot, mostly because, he has such a big story in mind for the Darkseid War, and with these particular characters, these are just a glimpse of a bigger story. Because right now, what we're having for the next couple months, from October to November, this is Act 2 for this big 3-act storyline that Jeff currently has. So obviously, we had to discuss an endpoint for these characters. Where are they going? It's difficult to write if you don't know where the books are ending. So there was definitely some coordination, a lot of coordination with these things, and especially since I'm also drawing the 2 issues of Justice League, so I'm pretty caught up.
You illustrated the covers for the 6 Darkseid War one-shots. What inspired each one's design?
More or less like Jack Kirby. I was trying to give each book an individual look, because it's very, each one-shot is very character driven, but at the same time I needed to give the covers a unified look. So I kind of looked on to Jack Kirby's design sense. He always drew these like really interesting looking technology, right? And so I kind of used some of those design elements and kind of put it in and around the covers to give it a unified look, even though each cover it's very different from the other, because it's more character specific, but there are certain design elements that tie it all together.
That's the lowdown on all the Darkseid War one-shots. Make sure you click subscribe for more in-depth knowledge about all your favorite DC comics.
Plus, make sure you give a like to DC on Facebook so you can keep track of how often Batman changes his profile picture. It's more often than you think.
Like 7 times a week.
Every day.